So currently I am walking to the bus stop. It's a typical Tuesday morning / Thursday morning for me. It's like, I don't know, 6:56 right now, and the bus comes in a few minutes. It's so dark you can't even see me. You can just only hear my voice. It was darker before daylight savings, obviously, and colder. But yeah, this is what my mornings are like. I'm currently at the stop. Theoretically, it should be here in a few minutes, like 1 or 2, but sometimes they're late, sometimes they're early. It's the life I live. And here's the bus. Good old F bus. Actually on time today. So yeah, now I'm waiting on the L bus to come because I have to take 2 buses to get to Rickards. This used to cause me quite a bit of trouble in the beginning, but I think I got my routine pretty down packed. I am now almost at my service site, Rickards High School. I'm volunteering through youth programs with FSU. My leadership role is a combination of a mentor and a tutor in the advancement via individual determination, or as we call it, AVID, classroom. This is my on-site supervisor, Miss McNeil. She's the Gear Up coach from TCC, and she's sort of the person in charge of AVID here at Rickards. And this is Coach Lauriston, the AVID teacher whose classroom I tutor in most of the day. I also tutor in Coach Hogan class for first period, and occasionally in Mrs. Proctor class for 7th, but 90% of my time is spent in his classroom. At the start of my experience, I went through some rough patches. I was really nervous going in. I woke up at like 6:20 because I didn't want to be late and I had to take the bus. And so I ended up getting there 40 minutes early. But they still let me come in, and in the early time they let me observe a classroom before I started. But they kind of just put you right in there at Rickards High School. A part of it was a little disheartening, um, just because there were many students who didn't care about learning, or at least that's the attitude they projected. There were also many who were telling me that their class don't use a textbook anymore. Um, Part of it's because they don't have enough money, so not every student can take home a textbook. Another part of it is they do everything online, um, or do a lot of it online, and so they don't have a textbook that they use. So this morning didn't start out so great. I woke up at 6:50 so I can catch this bus at 7:30, and I make it. I make the bus, and I open my wallet and I grab my student ID. I have to catch 4 buses to get where I'm going, 2 to get there, 2 to get back. They might have excused me on 1 bus, but the other 3, I don't think so. So now I'm here, contemplating if I'm going to get enough hours to even pass this class, because life is not working in my favor. I came home maybe like 15 minutes ago, and I am dead tired. I arrived at Rickards around 7:45, And when I went into the classroom, there was only one tutor in there. One. And usually there's like, at the minimum, 4. The teacher for one of the AVID classes, he was absent, and we had a sub who proved to be absolutely useless, and the class was chaos. Of all days to have a sub and rowdy kids who know that the sub isn't going to do anything, we had a tornado warning, and nobody wanted to listen. No one wanted to take it serious, and there's just so much back and forth arguing, and it was worse than dealing with little children. They're just 9th graders. And I think that tested my patience. I think the city of Tallahassee Star Metro buses have it out for me. Now hear me out. I wake up at my usual 6:30 a.m. And when I wake up in the mornings, I'm just like, I don't want to do this. Should I go? No, I have to wake up. I have to go and get these hours. I'm barely going to make 120, if I'm even going to make 120. I have to get up. Oh, it's so early. It's okay, you can do it. You actually love it as soon as the day's done. So, I wake my butt up at 6:30, walking to the stop, and as I'm not even halfway there, I see the bus go by, and I am so tired and mad and frustrated because those 3 minutes now becomes I'm a whole hour late. Means I lost a whole hour of service that I can't make up because I have no room in my schedule to just pick up another hour somewhere else. Like, no room. So, as I watch those old videos that I recorded throughout my service, I'm just surprised that my early reactions, I don't even remember being so frustrated about those little things. I used to get so mad about the bus, and now actually on my last day, I missed the first, the bus I normally did, and I just went, okay, I'll just go home and catch the next one. I guess I was just so worried that, am I going to get enough credit? Hours? Am I going to get in trouble with Miss McNeil because I'm coming in late? Are the students going to start thinking that I'm slacking on my job if I don't do X, Y, Z? I just had all these little minute worries, and no one even remembers that when I ask them, how was my beginning thing? They just said, you were a bit nervous at first, but no one even remembers the little things that I was so focused on that I thought I did wrong, and I was it's just amusing now, but I guess that's part of the experience. I decided to get some feedback from Miss McNeil on how I was when I first came in versus how I am now, and so I'll see how my early reaction matches up to what I... Okay, so do you recall when I first started working here? Tutoring here, not working here.
Yes.
Okay, how would you describe me when I first started and to what I am like now as a tutor?
I think when you first started, you were a little apprehensive about going into the classroom, working with a group of students, because you already had your mindset you was going to be one-on-one with the students and mentoring. You was like, tutoring or what? My God, no. But then as you start watching the other tutors and really start learning the process now, no one can walk in that classroom and know that you're a volunteer tutor. They would think you were here as one of our Gear Up tutors that's on payroll.
Sweet. My 3 personal learning objectives were: I wanted to learn how to develop confidence with my leadership style. I wanted to learn how to incorporate my personal beliefs with my leadership role, while at the same time helping my mentees discover their own values. And my last personal learning objective was I wanted to learn how leadership works within all levels of the school system. So, Abbott may have been a bit rough in the beginning, but it definitely got better with time. I grew more experience and I gained more confidence. Part of the confidence that I developed was just from the occasional comforting word from Miss McNeil, like, "You're doing great, you know," or "I see that you've really gotten a handle on things." And another part of my confidence came from just feeling more competent in my role, because I kept doing it, and if there was a problem I didn't understand, I didn't become so anxious as much. I just go, "Okay, let me see your notes," or I'd be honest and just say, "I honestly don't remember how to do that, but let's see if I can find out. Let's see if we can do this together." And I think a tutor's greatest fear is a student thinking that they're not smart enough to be doing what they're doing. But the students honestly don't mind. They just appreciate you taking the time to work with them. And so that was great. I've been here for about, maybe 2 months, going on 3. How would you describe my performance here?
You know what? I don't get any complaints at all. I mean, from what I see, you engage, you make sure the kids know what they're doing, you interact with them, and the kids like you. I know there's a group of girls they really like you. But the kids like you. They say you have a lot of great information. You help them out with the issues they have with their the equations, the tutorial questions. So to me, it's been a 10 out of 10. No complaints.
I wanted to learn how to incorporate my spiritual beliefs into my leadership style, and I think I effectively did that. I've been taking leadership and spirituality, and it's really helped clear up a lot of my misunderstandings and confusion about spirituality. And I realized that a part of your spiritual beliefs is what your values are, and you can incorporate that into your leadership role by acting on those values and staying true to your personal values, and that's like a form of authentic leadership. And so I believe I effectively showed that. My students definitely, they look at me and are like, "How are you not reacting right now?" If something happens, they're like, "You're so calm, you're so patient." And I kind of smile to myself because I value patience. And so when they see me, they go and think, "Okay, she's very calm, she's understanding," and I think they appreciate that. And it works well with some students, and others maybe not so much. I'm still learning how to adapt myself, because although I've grown accustomed to a certain kind of leadership style, some students, it's not effective on some students. And so I kind of have to learn to, you know, maybe love and kindness words work here with this one student, but I have to learn to be a bit more stricter and firmer for another. And so I see how like my values have definitely influenced my leadership style. As for wanting to help my students, my little mentees, develop their own spiritual awareness, that's a little bit more difficult to obtain, I realize. Spiritual journey is something that it's an ongoing process, and spiritual awareness doesn't just happen like that. But I think for some students, like with the conversations I have with them, I've got them thinking, you know, there's something more important, and that there is a certain meaning to everything that they're doing. But, you know, those conversations, I think, are more effective when you have a strong bond with the students, and I'm still developing those bonds. And since my last day was not that long ago, they're like, when I was saying goodbye, they're like, we were just getting to know you, you know, we spent these past few weeks growing closer to you, and so I know that I have developed bonds, and it's kind of amazing to see that it's that they feel the same way that I feel. But I do think that I have gotten some students to think about a greater meaning in what they're doing, and that school isn't just, oh, like I'm just doing this work just to do it. Like there's purpose behind their actions. So I had this grand goal that I was going to learn everything there was about the school system, because, you know, I'm going to be spending so much time at Rickards. I didn't actually know beforehand what it was I'd be doing at Rickards. Like, obviously I knew that there'd be some form of mentoring and tutoring, but I thought it would be one-on-one, and I thought, you know, if I'm going to be there for like 7 hours, like they're probably going to have me, you know, doing some indirect service. No, I honestly didn't have the time to talk to the faculty members that I wanted to. I mean, I've had conversations with Coach Lauriston, who's the teacher in the class that I volunteer in, and I've had conversation with my site coordinator, but I didn't get to really find out more than what the AVID program is. Like, the AVID program was probably the most I learned about the school system, and technically it's an outside program working within the school system. So I didn't actually accomplish or achieve that learning objective, but I thought it was still very beneficial to learn so much about AVID, because one of my visions for a career goal is to develop an after-school program. And I know AVID is an actual class, and it's not an after-school program, but it is an outside organization working within a public school system. And so it got me thinking, you know, what I want to do is very possible. And learning about AVID was, even though it wasn't my intentional goal to only learn about that, it has helped me for future goals. I hope to some work still because I really do want to get involved with education. And so it just kind of encourages me actually to not end here. Like, this experience kind of just made me want to go and research more, find out more and not give up. So even though I didn't achieve my learning objective, I still learned other things that was very beneficial to me. So a lot of what I've learned and how I've structured my leadership style in this leadership experience at Rickards has been shaped by my other leadership classes. So for one, I was very, very influenced by Robert Quinn's Deep Change, especially the phrase getting lost with confidence. I'm not much of a risk taker, but I always remember the conversations and dialogue we had in class about that reading and how the threat of slow death and the need to take risks, it always stayed in the back of my mind. And so it's one of those driving forces that led me to do tutoring, because I've always said, nope, I'm not going to do tutoring. It's not my thing. I won't be good at it. And I took the risk, and I'm glad I did. And I was very much thrusted into tutoring. I thought it was going to be one-on-one, and then next thing I know, I'm in a system I had no idea how to do, and I just had to roll with it. And it was scary and amazing, and I'm glad that I did it. So I definitely had deep change in the back of my mind from the forefront. In conjunction with this leadership experience class, I've also been taking leadership and spirituality, and so that's played a really big part in how I lead. For one, just the idea of keeping my values in mind and acting on those values, being authentic, being genuine, and the want to have my students to find their own values and meanings was definitely shaped by all the readings and discussions I've had in our leadership and spirituality class. I did have one particular moment, though, where we discussed the authentic leadership development continuum, and one of the readings was talking about finding moments that matter, and it's that moment in your leadership journey that you could just pinpoint and you knew it was significant, and trying to create moments that matter, setting up the environment for that. And I saw an opportunity while at Rickards to create that moment, and I seized it, and I even I made a little vlog about it, so here it is. My sixth period is kind of a free period for me. There's not a lot of students in that class, so I was writing on the board a bunch of different words in Japanese, and some students took an interest in it, and next thing you know, I'm teaching the alphabet of Japanese to a student, and they were so excited. I just had never actually seen such excitement and wanting to learn, because they're so reluctant to do their tutorial sessions a lot of times, they think it's pointless. But to see them wanting to learn a language like Japanese and taking an interest, and it was so exciting. And I was the one leading that, and I didn't know I was going to get that excited about it. And then it just felt like, oh my gosh, I could do this. I could do this for a living. Like, I could create a curriculum to teach this. And someone like whose vision is to have that program where I do that, and I just had a moment where I did it and it went well, and they want to continue it next week. I don't know. It was just a great leadership moment. It was like the confidence boost I needed. Like, one of the most influential lessons that I've learned from all of the previous leadership courses, and especially it was in leadership in groups and communities and groups, was that some of the shortcomings of short-term service learning and direct service. And it really became apparent to me on my last day of tutoring when I had to tell students that, this could potentially be the last time they see me. And some of them were so sad, and they were like, Miss Duval, if you leave, I'm just going to go back to being bad. I'm going to go back to having arguments with students. Like, I'm not going to pay attention. I don't want any new tutor. Like, if you're not going to be there, then, that's it. I'm not putting any more effort into this class. And it made me so sad. I mean, I did my best to encourage them to not do that and to instead keep doing well. They've improved so much. I'm so proud of them, and I can see so much potential in them. And to think that I could have such an effect in such a short amount of time, but my leaving in such a short time can also cause psychological damage to them as well. So, one of the upsides to this is that Miss McNeil has offered me a chance to come back for the next semester and make it really worthwhile for me. I can't say in details what it is, but it's a great opportunity for me, and it'd be a good chance to see my students again. And so I'm going to rearrange my schedule for spring to once again incorporate Rickards. And so my students, I won't be able to see all of my students again, but at least some of them won't feel like I've abandoned them, and hopefully, the new tutors that come in can fill in the sadness, the temporary sadness that they're going to feel from me leaving. But definitely, I always remember that lesson, which is why I made sure to say goodbye. I didn't want to just stop coming, and I didn't want them to think that it was because of them or I wasn't really interested in them. Like, I wanted them to know, like, hey, I really appreciated my time with you guys. This is my last day. I may not see you next semester, but I hope you guys do well. My final thoughts are, I'm very grateful that I was able to develop confidence with my leadership role. Like I had set out to be as one of my learning outcomes. I didn't know that my time here at Rickards would be as influential in my life as I thought it would be. Honestly, it's one of my best college experience, and I'm so grateful and glad that I did it. It was a great way to finally put in action a lot of the leadership principles that I've been learning about, and it was an opportunity to have some experiential learning. I guess that's the word we're going to use, because like as I'm learning these concepts, I can see it as I'm tutoring, as I'm interacting with the students and with the faculty. Like, I'm learning everything, and it's happening at the same time, and so like everything I'm learning just seems so much richer and more relevant than before, when I just I heard the concept and I saw how great some of the stuff were in theory, but I never really had an opportunity until now to actually practice some of those theories or see how well it holds up in my life and my roles, because I didn't have much of a leadership role prior to this, and so it's been really great. I'm glad that I can also accomplish the goal of incorporating my personal beliefs into my leadership role, and I'm glad that I got to learn how leadership works, at least in the Abbott program. Ms. McNeil explained a lot of it to me, and so did Coach Lauriston, in terms of how he got involved, and it was just very interesting, and hearing the history of how it started, and then how did it end up here in Leon County, and I've learned a lot, and I hope to continue to learn more in the spring semester. I'm so glad I took this class, even though I stressed so much about the hours, but it was all worth it.
Tell 'em I woke up like this.